Hey everybody, it's Damian Gerger from the Break It Down Show, and today's guest is Kate Linder. Kate Linder was a cast as Esther Valentine on The Young and the Restless over 38 years ago in April 1982. She remains a key member of the top-rated daytime dramas cast. On April 10, 2008, Linder received a star on a Hollywood Walk of Fame. Linder feature film credits include Hysteria, Erased, Miss Meadows, Gary Marshall's Mother's Day, Boys from the Stone, The Camel House, and she's also one of the leads in the Charlie Matthau's upcoming Book of Leah and Echo Boomers. She enjoys the best of both worlds, on the air and in the air. Acting is my life and my creative satisfaction, says Linder. She never quit her weekend job as a United Airlines flight attendant because it keeps her grounded. Get to know more on Kate at katelinder.com. You already know what to do. Go to Save the Brave, savethebrave.org, and support these fellas. We fight together, PTSD. If you want to support Break It Down Show, go to breakitdownshow.com, put a little money into the PayPal link. All the money goes straight back to the show. You can also support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, or you can buy our merch, and you can listen to our show on any podcast platform. All right, enough of me. Here comes Kate Linder.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay
This
Moore.
is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland. This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hi, I'm Kate Linder, Esther Valentine from The Young and the Restless, and you're watching The Break It Down Show.
And now, The Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Working with pros, Kate, like you, who I can give a line to in 5 seconds, and then you take it and make it better. I love it. I love it so much because it's one of the, so I've had a number of people who've worked in daytime drama type shows, and they've said the rate at which you have to process lines is ungodly, especially compared to like a movie or whatever. You know that you guys are just you chew and chew and chew through that. How long is that? Yeah.
No, that's really true because, an hour nighttime show will take an hour. An hour show will take a week to tape it, and we do it in one day. So we do 60 to 80 pages a day. And, I've worked on, all kinds of mediums and films too. Well, they're going crazy because they have to do a half a page a day, And so it's amazing. It really is. All the material.
It is.
It's good. Believe me.
It's remarkable. Well, so just for everybody who doesn't know, Kate Linder has been on The Young and the Restless for, it's going to be 40 years here pretty soon.
Well, actually, April 8th will be my 39th anniversary. I don't know how that's possible because I'm not that old. I don't know how that's possible. But anyway.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I mean, you started in 82 on Young and the Restless. I mean, that doesn't include other stuff you did before that.
Right.
First off, to have a show be so successful for so long, I mean, you think about how different a world we are from 1982. Like how many more women are in the workforce who don't just stay home and watch their soap all the time, and yet you guys are still around. What do you attribute that to? Like, how come Young and the Restless? I mean, and then the soaps, they have like decades and decades of success, but why? What is it about what you guys do?
Well, we're the number one show for a lot of reasons. Number one, our writers are amazing. What they come up day in and day out, all these years. And what I like about Young and the Restless is that it's, they use like real life situations. Like my character, Esther, was a single mother. She was trying to raise her daughter. Her daughter, was ignoring her, things that people go through. I mean, we don't really deal with, aliens swooping in and that kind of thing. So they're dealing with real life. And I think that's number one. And another reason is that, a lot of us have been on there for a while. So when you tune in and you expect to see the characters the people that you've known all these years, you see them, which is a good thing. So,
Yeah. It's I guess the other thing I would say is, growing up, so I'm 51 years old, and when I wouldn't go to school, I would watch Young and the Restless because it's one of the things that was on, and I recognized the faces, Victor and the person who was Cricket. She's still there with you guys, and she's basically my age, and so she's been doing it forever.
Right. And so that's good. And so Esther, I started, it was just supposed to be for one day.
Yeah.
That's all it was supposed to be for. That's all I was hired for, was one day. And
that's
here
crazy.
we are.
No, okay, so
years.
A one-day job, that's awesome. And then why do they keep you? I mean, is it something about what you did? What do you attribute that to? Because a lot of people have one-day jobs, and they are one-day jobs.
Well, here's how this started. Our casting director, Tom Palmer, it was Tom Palmer at the time. He's since passed away. He was an amazing, amazing man. And I went in on a general interview, and I left him a tape, and went home and went, oh gosh, is this ever going to happen? It's another interview. It's not. And a little while later, his assistant, who was Jill Newton at the time, called me, and she said, Tom's finished with your tape and you can come pick it up. And I said, already? She goes, yeah, it was really weird. He usually doesn't do this, but as soon as you left, he went right in and he looked at it. And this is how different things are now, right? Tape, right?
Yeah, actual tape.
Right. So I said, well, I'll be down in a couple of days. And she said, okay. Well, he called me later. I think it was 2 days later. He called me and he said, listen, I have this role. He said, it is so small. If you blink, you're going to miss it. But he said, I'm looking for something else for you on the show because usually if you do a small role like that, a one-day part, that's it. Like you're right. One day, it's one day and you can't come back as someone else. So, and I said, no, I'll do it. And usually because he said he was looking for something else for me, and usually they don't do that either. Okay. So I said, I'll do it. And that was over 39 years ago. I had my almost 39 years ago, it had to be true acting because my first line was something my family never heard, which was dinner is served. So great acting.
You blew them away.
Yeah. And so then they called me and they asked me, they said, well, are you available the next day? And I said, yeah. And so they kept calling me back. I didn't have a name in the beginning. So the scripts would just say made on them. And then one day, Jeannie Cooper, who was amazing and played Mrs. Chancellor, and I'll never forget my first day. Oh my gosh. Because I walked into the makeup room and I had introduced myself to her and I said, hi, I'm playing your maid today. And she said, well, it's about time. I could still hear her say that. And so anyway, she was so amazing. So one day we were rehearsing the lines as it was written. And we went to tape. She started calling me Esther. And fortunately, I responded and didn't go, what? And then other people other characters and actors started calling me that. And so then they started writing it. And then we had a national contest for the last name, Valentine. And there were Bill Bell, who was the creator of the show, and amazing man and head writer and everything. He said, okay, here's a couple names. You can pick from one of these names. And it was Valentine, Diamond, and there was one other. And so I picked Valentine because I thought that would be really good luck because I was married on Valentine's Day. And It turned out, but I think how come, Esther still stuck around? Because back then there was no comedy in soaps. There was none. And so uh, I knew I had to do something with this role because because I was just answering the door, and if I did it and they didn't like it, I'd be gone. And if I didn't do something, I would be gone. So just sort of went for it and did little things like, one day I asked props, I said, can you give me a spoon with melted chocolate on it? And they're going, yeah. And it was just kind of thing like Esther's answering the door and she had a spoon with chocolate and, trying to answer the door, that kind of thing. Just stuff like that.
Is the soap gig, is it better than any other gig in Hollywood? I mean, people stay for decades. I mean, that whole cast has been there for so long. Is it just that once you get used to the pace, you just never want to leave, or you don't have time to leave? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I'm very proud of what we do. Young and the Restless being the #1 show, and just everyone, and it's a family. You've been together for a very long time, and all the things we've been going through, and especially now, and we're still working and we're safe and feeling safe. And I'm very fortunate. I do other things as well. I actually, when COVID started, I was in the middle of I had one day left on this film with Kate Hudson. So I'm hoping I hope it gets finished, that
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing is as you guys are doing it. And first off, let me just say this too. We're talking about the actors having to chew through these lines and perform these things, but also the creative part of the writing. The actual physical writing is one thing, but like they've got to make all these storylines weave through in time and everything. And then the editors and just how about the costume people that have to maintain your costumes, because you wear them so often, they have to be like, these aren't things that are, it's incredible how much work goes into keeping the show on the TV for so long. And then, of course, to be #1 is remarkable.
Well, you're absolutely right, Pete. It's because, it takes a village, and it's
right.
true. It's everyone goes into it, making Young and the Restless the best and #1, and our crew that works so hard. The days are long, and
mm-hmm.
And, people don't complain. I mean, right now too, everyone's really grateful that we're able to work and that, we have jobs, and,
right.
and that's also bringing some light and something to the viewer right now too, which I think is amazing. See, I really feel that daytime soaps are going to have, they're great. They're going to be having a huge resurgence because, first of all, the whole Zoom thing, this is me. I'm talking personally. Okay.
Right.
I hate it. Because, I think that our job is to entertain and also, we're able to provide, sometimes we can learn things along the way, and which is really, really good too. So and also when we were shut down and they ran out of shows, I love the fact that they started airing older shows, classic shows, and I was going, oh my God, I'm watching it, going, I can't believe. Look at this scene. We had a whole masquerade ball, and they aired that a couple times, and I remember doing that show. Boy, we were sleeping in our dressing rooms. It was long. It's fabulous. It really is.
That's one of the good things about being able to put things on digital and stream it whenever you want. The show can have a whole new life. You can go back 30 years and, just start watching from there and binge on it. You really have the ability to do that. That is remarkable because that's never been possible before. When you had physical film, where are you going to put it? Like, what channel is going to allow you to, it's just
right.
There's no time for reruns. You may rerun the same story in terms of within a story, have the same kind of episode again, but that's not a rerun. That's just, turning through ideas and stories and everything. But it's neat to be able to go back however far you want in time, basically, and start this journey with Young and the Restless it's a neat time to be alive for that. How I want to ask about the COVID thing because it is such a big part of you guys are all in close proximity, and sound stages can be you can be on top of each other. How do you guys deal with that? And then there's the COVID part, but also the fear that you have personally or someone else might have where they're like, it's just too risky. I've got someone at home or whatever it is. How did you guys work through all those things?
Well, I mean, they spent a lot of time and in conjunction with the unions and everybody working to make sure that everyone is safe and feels good about it. And there's all kinds of things that we do. I mean, we really do wear masks and, until we start taping. It's kind of difficult with the makeup, because you get all ready, you have a mask on, then you take your mask off and go, oh my gosh, what happened? But we do it and we fix it. We run our lines. We stay away from each other, 6 feet away from each other. It's so hard because you want to, especially now. I mean, you haven't seen someone in a long time. Your first instinct is you want to hug them. You want to.
Yes.
You want, and you can't. You don't. So I'm proud of everyone. It takes everyone working really hard to make sure that we are good, that everyone's safe.
And those sacrifices that you have to make because you don't get to be as comfortable and as normal as you want to be but you have to do it for the process, for the fans, for everybody. You've got to absorb some of this discomfort. I wanted to ask you also too, in terms of when you look at, first off, let me ask you this. When did you find all of the gearing in yourself to be like, I can do this? Like, because you're a contract player for a couple of years, it looks like in your bio. So when do you know, like, when do you know, like, this is going to work? I can do this and they want me to do it and I'm probably never leaving. When did you figure that out and get comfortable?
Well, here's the thing, Pete. You see, I never take it for granted. I always feel I could go upstairs and never come down again. They call it show business for a reason because it's a business. It's a business of show and you have to treat it as such. And so I still go to class. Right now, class is on Zoom. But I still I'm a dancer, singer. So I have, my tap dance when we could, I would. And when this is over with, I'll be back in the dance studio. I'm there usually 3 times a week in my voice lessons and acting. And I'm just constantly, because I played the same role for 39 years almost. And I like doing other things as well. I mean, when stuff comes up, I will do it. Like this film, I had a role in Gary Marshall's Mother's Day, which was needed. And I'll take, a smaller role which people normally wouldn't do, but I'll do that because that's how this started too. And what I've always thought, what if I had said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying one line. I'm not doing that. You never know, right?
You never know. And Hollywood is not a town where no is a good answer for a lot of people. However, at some point you have to say that's enough, because they'll take those. Yeah. Like Kate will say yes, and they'll just keep asking and asking until you're like, I hate this. I hate everything about it. We all know people like that where they get their fill. So you have to say yes, but you also have to find that spot where you're like, that's enough. And anything beyond this, I'm not doing, whether it's another gig or whatever. Do you get enough artistic expression to flex that muscle enough for you to be happy within the show? Or do you really look for things like dance and other movies to express yourself?
Well, I mean, I like, it's like real life. You never know. Pete, you don't know what's going to happen actually when you woke up today. And I feel fortunate because I don't have to press the snooze alarm because I want to get up and I want to go to work. I love what I do. But how do you know what's really going to happen? You don't know. Who in their wildest dreams would think this would be going on, for a year now that we're dealing with what the whole world's dealing with. Yeah. So it's just much like that. So I always look for ways that, and I want Esther to be, believable. And, she's out there. She's a little out there, but she's grown through the years. Actually, in the beginning, when I first started playing her, I thought, God, she is so stupid. She's really, used to drive me crazy. And then the character of Jill, Jess Walton plays her so beautifully, and just love Jess. She would throw lines in there which wasn't written, like, oh yeah, well, you're not the sharpest knife in the drawer, things like that. But it's that collaboration, and I love working with people like Jess and with Jeannie. When we worked together we were together over 30 years, and we would work the lines, and now, when I'm getting to work with Jess and Elizabeth, who plays my daughter, whoever, finding those moments and finding things we can do is fun. It's good.
Just curious, what is a day like for you? Like, if you're going to go to set, are you filming every day, or do you guys stack in a hard day and then take an extra day out? How does that all work?
Well, it's different. It's different every day. It's different every week. You just don't know.
Okay.
If you're in a major storyline right then maybe you're going to work several days that week. So maybe you'll work, one day. Maybe you'll work 5 days. Maybe you won't work any days. You don't know. It just depends on what's happening and how the story's going.
So that's got to keep it kind of fun, though. I mean, not knowing week to week what you're going to have to do. It sort of comes up. I mean, how far in advance do you know? Like, if you want to get away out to Palm Springs, you're like, I'm not recording this week, I'm going to pop out to Palm Springs. Or can you even set that up in advance?
Well, right now I'm not going. I'm not going anywhere. So,
Yeah.
It's a different thing. I really like working and like what I do. So, I usually don't ask for much time off, if at all. Sometimes
Right.
because I do a lot of charity, and and before COVID, I do 3 teas a year for March of Dimes in Canada, where I bring up Young and the Restless people. We have one in July in Vancouver, and one in Calgary, usually in April, and then one in Toronto in December. So, sometime I might have to say, am I working this Friday because I have to go to, Canada to promote the tea and that kind of thing. But I'm usually, I'm happiest when I'm working. I love that. Love to work.
Yeah. How fortunate you'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
I want to get into your charity next, but I want to just ask you, what have you learned along the way? We all get better as people, hopefully, as we grow older. And I'm sure that's true for you. But what have so many stories, so many incredible people, such an incredible life. What have you learned?
Well, I learned in the very beginning that it's really important to give back. And I, if all of us just gave back a teeny little bit, can you imagine where we would all be and
Right.
what would be going on right now? Things would be, very different. And I hope that we can, get back to that, and people can start, giving of themselves, a little bit. And then, because I actually do this Sunday message. I started it when we first shut down. So actually, yesterday was the 48th one I've done. So that's how long I know. That's how I know how long we've been doing this. So 48 weeks, that we've been doing this, and I just keep them a minute, and I'm just basically, try to just remain positive and up, and try to make people feel better. And it's hard. It's a hard time for everyone. So, you go on Instagram, my Instagram, and Facebook, or whatever. And Twitter. They're there. And I started that, and I was shocked at how the response. And now I've got people from all over the world chiming in, and they'll say, wow, Kate, thank you. I was having a really bad day. You made me feel better. But if I can make anybody feel better, even for a second, I mean, I've had so many great things happen. There was, in the very beginning, actually, I'd gotten a letter from someone, a letter with writing and everything at the studio. And it was from this woman, and she said her sister was really ill, and would I send her a picture? And so by the time I got the letter, I thought, oh my gosh, it's not going to ever get there in time,
right.
For her birthday. So I looked her up. I called information. I'm dating myself, right? I called information,
right,
and found her number and called her and said, hi, it's Esther from Young and the Restless, because I thought she wouldn't know who Kate Linder was. This was a long, long time ago.
Right.
And she said, oh my gosh. And, we talked for a while, and she said she was really ill. And I said, I know. Anyway, we talked, and her sister wrote me, and she said, oh my gosh, it was a miracle. The doctors couldn't believe it. She did better and all that kind of thing. And I stayed in touch. She did pass away, and I stayed in touch with the family for years. Her kids, and kept in touch and watched what they were doing, growing up and everything. So I thought, oh my goodness, how can I not, if I can make this person feel good for even a minute, how can I not do that?
Yeah, it's the best of who we are when we get to entertain people and then really make an impact on someone's life. I totally agree. So I'm a veteran, and I've deployed a lot, and you've done USO tours.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that I know it is uncomfortable to have to go to a combat zone. It's uncomfortable to go to, Afghanistan. The flights are not first class. You might sit on a seat that's made out of seat belts, and pipe. And so, and that's how you guys get there. And they might give you a helmet to walk around in. You might have body armor. This is not Hollywood. This is as far from Hollywood as you can get. And here's the other thing. This is for the audience, because this. But if you're going to go to Afghanistan, where you've been, they're going to say, hey, we're going to leave at this time. You're going to meet them at, whatever Air Force base, and they're going to fly, or they'll fly you to somewhere. And then at some point you're on a military plane. And then all schedules are all kind of like suggestions, like if it's foggy, cloudy, rainy, dangerous, whatever it is, they're not flying. And so you sit in Kuwait and you just wait. There's a sandstorm. It could be a week.
Yeah.
So you commit to these things and go to these places. Who got you into that? That's the first question. Because that's not an easy thing for someone from Hollywood to do. It's just, I know a lot of people do it, but there's a whole bunch of people in Hollywood who don't do it. So who got you into that? Who inspired you? What made you make that choice?
Well, Johnny Grant was the honorary mayor of Hollywood. Okay. And, oh my gosh, what an amazing man he was. And, I watched how these people, what they did, and he did them for years. And so I said, you know what, I would like to do that. And I'll go at Thanksgiving. I've been to Afghanistan, Pakistan, all the stands, Guantanamo Bay, which was, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Korea. I've been at the DMZ. I have seen things. I have, but I'll never forget this, because here it was Thanksgiving, and they said to me, there's this woman, she's on duty. She's at the guard gate, and she can't come into to meet you, because we did these meet and greets, and I would stay there till the last person. I didn't care if I was there all night, because if I was able to, once again, and to thank people. You see, for me, it doesn't matter what side you're on, if you're for the war, not for the war, or what, I don't care. But I am for these people, these young men and women, and whoever that are making it so that you, Pete, you and I can be doing this, or that I can be at the studio, or wherever. I'm for that. And so I said, oh, yeah, take me to her. So they did. And she saw me, and oh my God, she started crying and made me cry. And she said to me, "This is the best Thanksgiving I've ever had." I said, "Are you kidding me? You don't even get to eat. You're on guard. You're on duty all night and what?" She said, "Yes." And I said, "Wow, So I was able to see lots of things. It was some scary times, and you're right. That was you that would be dark, and you have to go around in the dark. You can't have light on. And well, since you were there, you know, and you can't be driving around and seeing things. And it was true. It was interesting because I had to get permission from the show to do this, even though we were not taping because it was Thanksgiving week. Because I didn't realize this, but it was in my contract that you can't go and be in a war zone, And I went, whoa, I didn't know that. But anyway, they gave me permission. I'm so glad they did. And it was just like you said, there was a problem getting back.
Of course. Yeah.
I was supposed to be back, and there was something that flights didn't come in, something, and we were delayed.
Yeah. And this is for the audience, because you probably know this, but you can get on a plane that's coming back, and they'll say, and they'll make an announcement to the entire people, like everybody on the manifest, and they'll say there are human remains on this flight. If you do not want to take this flight, you can skip it. And that's not something that happens like that's just not a normal thing where you're like, oh my God, that's right, I'm in a war zone. And the other thing I wanted to say about like Thanksgiving, those big holidays, when you come out, I worked in a lot of very, very, very remote places where, we didn't even have all of the food allotments. Like we wouldn't have ice cream. I would bring ice cream when I came on a helicopter. And when someone would say, take me to the hardest place, the most austere place, man, even if we didn't know who that person was or why, anything about him, or it's some musician we never heard of, we were so grateful to have that. Like, you came all the way out here. Our command doesn't come out here. Like we fly in and out because it's so hard and you came here. Oh my God. And it makes such a difference. So I'm not saying people have to go all the way out to the outer outlands, but when you do, because it's easy to go to the main camp, but when you take that next step and go even further, it makes a world of difference. It's incredible that people like you go out and do these things, because it does make that tour. It's memorable. We all remember. I remember when I was on the main camp in Iraq, and Robin Williams and John Elway and the guy, and then Leanne Tweeden. I remember them being there. I remember what they talked about.
Leanne and I did these together.
See, yeah, and she was great too. She was always coming out. Like it was like no problem. Wait and see Leanne, because she'd be back. She was always out there. Yeah, so it's incredible that you take that on and that I'm assuming you mentor other younger actors too. Like, you need to go do this, not just for yourself, but you owe it to these service members. And then plus Bob Hope laid all this down. He's like, here's how we do this. And Bob Hope, God bless that guy, man. He really made a difference for veterans, and really made it, almost compulsory for an actor with a conscience about veterans to go out and do this stuff. And it's just, it's a great debt, and just naming an airport after him, to me, it almost isn't even enough. I've eaten at a number of Bob Hope chow halls, temporary, but they're like, this one's named Bob Hope until we find a better reason. Like he's the default name, it seems like, for dining facilities. So,
you're totally right. You can't even describe it. Okay. So when we went to Korea, it was really interesting because a lot of the guys would say, because they were able to have contact at home with their phones and stuff. And they said, hey, my wife is a huge fan. Do you mind talking to her? She's on the phone. I said, she's on the phone? Where, no, she was she was, I don't know where she was, Ohio or something. I go, sure, put her on, and I would talk to her. And, this is something. Oh, just remember, This is amazing. So this just happened. So funny that you're bringing this up, because about 2 weeks ago, somebody contacted me I think it was on Instagram or one of those. And he had taken a picture. It was a picture that I had signed to him on one of these USO trips when he was in the service. He said, I was cleaning out, the garage or whatever. The garage, I'm in the garage. No, and he said, I found this. And he said, I thought you'd like to see it. And wow, that meant so much to me too,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's neat. And I wanted to cover that just because, I don't know how much you all get, how much it really does mean. And I often get to see things from an outside point of view where I see these veterans the next day and the day before. You don't get to see that. You get to have all the appreciation when you're there. But when people are talking weeks afterwards, about it's like, wow, I can't believe she came out here, or whatever it is. That impact stays with veterans for sure. And they'll remember the time when they saw you and literally watch Young and the Restless, because so Hootie and the Blowfish didn't come to Bosnia. They wouldn't get on a bus and come down. And we all got there by bus. And so
really? Wow.
En masse, all of the veterans there were like, so much for Hootie and the Blowfish. We're never going to listen again, and they went from a rising act to a falling act. And I can't attribute it to that, but it was around the same time. It's like, how can you not get on a bus? I don't care how busy you are. You committed to doing this. You come out, you do it, So it's just neat. I don't want to talk about USO anymore because I really want to talk. One of my very, very, very good friends is a guy named Phil Green, and he was diagnosed with ALS just about 2 years ago. And I know that you've got a powerful connection to ALS as well. And it's one of those things, and this is for the audience because you know this stuff. The people that get this, they die at a pace that by the time they find out they have it, there's not a lot you can do. And because the disease is so unique for each person, it's hard to know how to treat that person. And most people don't qualify for different tests. So you want this to be an easy solvable thing, but the people just die too fast and it's just too hard to treat. And so any dollar we can raise for ALS and any ease we can give to the families bear such a burden. I mean, this is expensive stuff. Your entire life requires a significant loved one to take care of you almost all the time once you lose all of your ability to move around. So one, thank you for working on this exceptionally hard problem. And then how did you get involved with ALS?
Well, like you said, Pete, I'm the celebrity spokesperson for the ALS Association. And it all started out with actually my brother-in-law had it. And I was actually, my husband had picked him up at the airport. He was coming in town, something. And I'll never forget, I thought to myself, God, Scott must have had a great time on that plane. And I never thought that he drank, and I said, God, he seemed like he was drunk. I mean, I said to Ron, my husband, I said, gosh, I wonder, he must have had a great time. But then that was one of, the symptoms that we realized. It took, like you said, it took a while for him to get diagnosed. And this disease is horrific. You are trapped in your own body. His brain worked far better than mine. He couldn't communicate. Got to the point where he was. So anyway, I thought to myself, I knew a little bit about ALS at that point because Zaslow from Guiding Light had it. And I had heard a little. But when I saw Scott, I thought, you know what? I've got to do something. I've got to do something with this. So he went to the association and said, okay, I want to do something. What can I do? And that's how that started. And then it got to the point where, because he had it over 7 years and he's gone. But I said, you know what? I'm here for the long haul. I am here until we get a cure. And there is a cure out there. There is. We can put people on the moon. We can do all kinds of crazy things. So we can find, it's almost, it mutates. So, they talk about the virus mutating. It's that kind of thing that right. It mutates. And it's interesting that there are twice the incidences in the military.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. He was also an avid golfer. So a lot of athletes and it doesn't matter whether you're young or old, female, male, it doesn't, whoever you are, it doesn't skip anybody. Yeah. It doesn't care the disease. And there was this man, I'll never forget him. His name is Robert Fleeson, and he had ALS. I had met him, and I always say this because he used to say this: it doesn't matter how many breaths you have in this lifetime, but rather what you do with those breaths. So I decided, when I heard that, I decided right then, I'm taking every breath I have until we get a cure. And I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. You can't give up. You can't give up on anything. No matter what you want, no matter what you want for your life, no matter what you want to be, no matter what you want to do, you just don't give up.
Yeah.
And you keep going and you'll get there.
You do keep going. And just for anybody who's curious, you can look on the screen and see the link to the latest episode we did with Phil last summer. And it was, his 1 year anniversary from when he came out on the show and talked about his ALS, diagnosis and everything. And we're going to have him on again here in the summer and just kind of update again. So if anybody has this journey or you're trying to understand it, these ALS shows will help you kind of understand, at least what Phil's state of mind is. And you can try to wrap your head around this thing because, like you said, it's a horrific disease, and the family suffers along the way. So, it's financially devastating. And these folks, anytime you can give to an ALS charity, you're doing a good thing. Either you're putting money in towards the cure or to support a family that desperately needs. That $5 is way more valuable to them,
Absolutely. So, the Ice Bucket Challenge, we did that. And actually, I just did a thing the other day around this time of year, Valentine's Day, speaking for people that cannot speak because they can't speak. And so speaking for them. And it is really difficult on the families. My sister-in-law was there, when it got to the point where she couldn't take care of them at home. And she was there every single day. And it's very difficult. So you're right. We need to keep going, and if you can give whatever you can.
This is how remarkable Kate is. So not only is she giving every breath towards ALS and doing USO tours and doing her inspirational talks on Instagram, that kind of thing. You also, when do you slow down, lady? You are busy. You're out there, doing your dance routines and just giving like crazy. Are you just born this way to constantly keep busy and to constantly give of yourself to other causes and everything? Or did someone grab you and say, this is important that you have to always look for ways to help people? Where does this come from? You're so incredible with this. March of Dimes. Okay. I'm involved. Now you're going down the road doing that. You just do not let up.
Well, you know what? I think it's because I feel so fortunate that I am doing something. This is all I ever wanted to be. I wanted to be an actress. I didn't want to be anything that little girls want to be. I didn't want to be a mother. I didn't want to be a nurse. I didn't want to be a flight attendant. I am. I didn't want to be. I just wanted to be an actress. I had no one in my family was in the business or could help me. I would take, and I still feel like I do this. I take one step forward and two steps back. And I just feel so lucky that I am able to do what I love doing. And it's my duty. It's my honor. It's everything to give back. And I will do as much as I can. When we can be out, this is difficult because I would be, before COVID, I was out every night. I was on the carpet every night. I was giving back. I do things for the mission, LA mission. Of course, my teas where I bring in the Restless people up to for March of Dimes in Canada 3 times a year. I just do as much as I can. But so this sort of stopped. So we did a virtual tea actually. And that was really successful. And I'm hoping that I keep hoping that next year we'll be able to go back to them in person, but we'll see. And if not, we'll just keep doing what we do. So we could do it. I mean, the walks for ALS, we did a virtual walk. Habitat for Humanity, we have a virtual thing coming up. I'm on their thing. It's just so important. And I love what I do. And, I mean, how fortunate I am, how lucky I am. How lucky I get to be here and talk to you. How lucky I get to be on the set at times. How lucky I get to be anywhere. How lucky, thank God, I have my health and all the people that are working so hard with COVID and the frontline workers and giving of themselves and people that have lost people. And, it's just, it's overwhelming what's going on here, And so you can't take anything for granted.
It is overwhelming. And your level of help is just remarkable. You didn't even mention all the stuff you're involved in. Penny Lane, Trisha's Angels, the Long Beach Grand Prix. All of these things that you're out there doing are all based on charitable work and trying to improve the plight of others. I mean, talk about Penny Lane and their incredible mission and your role with them.
Well, they do, any group that will do things with, and for kids and for children and for people, you never know. I mean, you don't, like I said, Pete, you don't know what's going to happen when you wake up in the morning. How do we all know, what position you're going to be in or I'm going to be in, anybody's going to be in. And Penny Lane helps the kids and helps people that maybe that family's having a rough time. And there are a lot of families having a rough time right now. And there are a lot of people in LA. It's not a pretty picture of what's going on now. And so, but it can get better. Not only can it will get better. But it takes all of us to do that and make that happen.
I often say on the show, if you're an adult and you have a reasonable level of stability, if you're not helping somebody, if you don't have a personal charity that you're working on, charity is not supposed to be easy either. It's, it might be an easy task, but like taking the mail to the post office for someone who runs a charity is an enormous benefit. That saves them 2 hours. They don't have to go to the post. Done. Going to the airport to pick somebody up at LAX for the event is an enormous benefit. These things aren't hard, but it's easier to stay home and not, we're talking about picking somebody from the airport. That is a legitimate thing you can do for a charity. It's like anytime you have someone coming into town, let me know. I'll come pick them up and I'll get them to where they want to be. These are the things that can be small and that are easy, but it's easier to stay home. And you are showing us all, like, not only can you be involved in one charity, you can be involved in several. And it's not just money. It really is. It's your voice, your attention, some of your time to help, even if you're just there in support, like, hey, we're going to have this event, put a butt in a seat, bring someone with you, always be a +1 at a charity event if you can. These are just the things. And it's just so important to me and now, the charity I support is Save the Brave. It's connected with the show and everything. We're always talking about that. I'm a veteran. I have PTSD. So I'm trying to keep the next person alive and let them know, hey, you can get down the path. You can get to where I'm at. You can get better than I am. So I'm still getting better. But now I'm thinking, shoot, I got to be more involved. I got the ALS thing. I could be doing more there. And I've got to do my Linder ups, and I got to get out there and go out and get charity wise.
Wait, Pete, you're doing a lot of, you're doing a lot. You can't beat yourself up either.
No, but I can look at the bar where you're putting it, and I'm like, okay, I can handle more. I can find ways to do more things. And I am very busy with charity for sure. But we all need to go, how else can I help? Because you give someone that extra bit of help, it might mean the world of difference. Whether it's directly to the person who needs it. Here's my philosophy just on homelessness, right? And you and I both know how bad it is here in Southern California. If someone has a sign out and they ask for something, I give it to them. They need it. You need a shirt. Here's my shirt. You need money. I don't care if you're getting to get high with it. You're in a situation where you're trying to survive. And if it's a drug that's going to get you through, Ben, here's $20. I'm not going to deny it. If you want to buy food, I'll buy you food. I'll buy you food for tomorrow. I don't care. Here's money to take care of that. I don't have a lot of money, but I do have a lot of ability to take action. And so that's part of what I try not to look down on folks who have a hard situation, because it's easy to be judgmental of someone that you have no idea anything about. And if they ask for something, that's what I try to give them. All right.
Well,
so
you're one of the good guys. See,
I'm trying.
You're one of the good guys. So.
I am trying.
So
okay.
I am honored to know you. You're a good guy. See, the thing is if I say I'm going to do something,
yeah,
I do it. So that if you ask me and I commit to doing it, I'll be there.
Yeah. What do you got coming up? What are you working on now? I mean, obviously the show is continuing and everything, but you're not one just to do one thing. So what do you have coming up here in the next few months, and everything COVID dependent? But talk to us about your plans.
Well,
for the next
we're
few
just
months.
trying to see what's going to happen with the normally we'd be, planning those, and I'd be getting, people from the show lined up, and, but you see, everything's just on hold. So it's just, I'm not good at being, I don't like being alone. I don't like isolation. And that's another thing. So many people are they're isolated. And even if it just means like maybe reaching out and to someone, maybe there's someone you haven't talked to in a long time, and you might just say, gosh, maybe I should just call them and forget. Okay, text them, whatever. But can you call them and hear a voice and say, hi, I'm just checking on you. How you doing? Because it's hard. It's hard. This is a hard time for everyone. I don't care who you are. This is not fun. It's not easy. And I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like the isolation. I'm not good at it.
Yeah, same. And I definitely encourage people to reach out to those friends of yours, people you care about. If they come to mind, call them. Right. If you can't set up a lunch date, call them. My buddy Brian walked out of my tent that I recorded in right as we were getting set up, because he's headed home, and he passed through and he stopped in even for 20 minutes just to be in each other's space. And we did, of course, COVID safe. He's vaccinated and everything. But these are important things to share this time. So you're not saying, I only see you at funerals. Take time, take the steps, make the phone call, send the email, write a letter, whatever it is. Stay connected with folks.
Definitely.
I have a silly question for you. Can I ask you a silly question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have okay. So the other day I was in Palm Springs doing a getaway, because we all got to do that. And, I love Palm Springs. And you walk along their Walk of Fame or whatever you want to call it, and there's all those stars, like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. And you think of all these people, and some people you don't know the names of and everything. You have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. What does that mean to you? And do you ever just go stand by it and look at it and be like, who is Kate Linder? How in the hell does she have a star on the street? And who are your star neighbors? That's the other thing I want to know.
Well, I still to this day can't believe it. I have to go there periodically to make sure it's still there. And how I found out that I was getting it was amazing. Because, so anyway, I still am a flight attendant for United Airlines. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was working a trip, and it was during the week. I usually would just fly on the weekends. So I thought, oh gosh, I better check my messages and see. And because I didn't tell anyone I was going, I was just going to go on a quick trip to Denver and back. It was during the week, but I thought I better check my messages. And there was a message from Johnny Grant, who I talked about earlier, was honorary mayor.
Yes.
And it was really early in the morning. I'm half awake, we were changing. We went to Denver and we're waiting for new people to get on and everything. And I hear him say, well, Kate, congratulations. And I'm thinking, what is he talking about? But then I remembered, well, the show had just won the Emmy. So I thought, oh, how nice of him to say, that's so nice of him to say that. Congratulations for that. And so I'm kind of listening, and he goes, yeah, Kate Linder, congratulations, because I still can't believe it. He says, you, Kate Linder, are receiving a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I still can't even believe it. I mean, I've seen those stars since I was a little girl. You know, in fact, not long before that, my husband and I had been walking on there, and I was looking at the stars, and I said, "Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine what that must be like? I can't even imagine what that would be like." So anyway, so I found out that I was getting that. I'm totally freaked out. I start crying. This other flight attendant comes up. She goes, she thought someone died. She goes, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I told her. So anyway, then the captain comes out. And he goes, "What is going on around here?" Anyway, so someone told him. So after we took off, he said, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this, but your purser, who's, you know, because I usually fly that position, the purser on this flight today is Kate Linder, and so you know this." And he announced it. He said that I was getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and so the whole airplane found out before, you know. And I mean, I was just, it was total shock. I'll never forget that. And here's the thing, Johnny Grant, who I just so love that man. And anyway, he passed away right before he was, I was supposed to receive it. So, and he was going to be the one that was giving it to me. But anyway, so that day, I mean, I will never forget it. I will never, ever forget. There was a tour bus. You know how the tour buses go on, you know, Hollywood Boulevard, and I could hear speaker. I could hear the tour guide saying, "Wow, ladies and gentlemen, you guys are in luck because someone's getting a star today." And then someone's getting a star. And then he went, "Oh my God, it's Kate Linder." I could hear this. And I still can't believe it. God. I'm so honored. I'm just very, very honored. It means more than I can even say. It means more than I can even explain. It's really amazing.
And who are your neighbors on the Walk of Fame? Do you know?
Oh yeah, Eric Estrada, who I love. He's my neighbor.
I was talking about him this week.
We always kid, actually. And actually, Eric Braden is near me too. And so I always say I'm between the two Erics. But Eric Estrada, we always kid. You know, every time I see him, I go, "Hey, neighbor," you know. And so, yeah, I can't believe it. I still can't believe it's there.
Yeah. It's such a neat thing. And it's such an interesting, I mean, it immortalizes you, but it also makes you part of this club that includes people like Bob Hope. You know, I mean, it's just, it's a remarkable, I'm always struck by the act of doing that and immortalizing somebody like that. Just make Kate Linder. And if they don't know who your name is, they can now go look it up and be like, "Oh my God, look what this lady did. Look at her incredible life." You know, like it's just it's a neat thing. And I'm glad you have that moment.
I had to work that day. It was really interesting because and I had to miss my luncheon. And everyone's going, what is, but you know what? If it wasn't for the show, Young and Restless, I wouldn't even be there.
Right.
And, you know, so it was just amazing to have done that and then run. And I'm running back to the studio and I don't know how that was just an amazing day because I ran in and they're going, "Kate, they're moving fast. Hurry, get dressed." I went, "What? Yeah, you're up. And I'm, "Oh my God, what are my lines?" I mean, I'm going, you know, and oh no. And, but it somehow they came to me, you know, got through it.
By the way, it's fantastic that you're still a flight attendant. Has Esther Valentine ever been your purser today or your flight attendant today? Have you ever done it in character?
No, but I've had amazing stories. Amazing stories. Yeah. One day, this couple got on the airplane and the woman looks at me and she goes, "Oh, Esther," you know, and the husband pulled me aside. He said, "I'll pay you $50 if you say it's not you." I said, "What?" He said, "Well, I bet her $100 that there's no way that you would be the flight attendant on this flight. There's just no way." I said, "Well, you're only paying me $50, so I'm telling." But I've just had great stories and things where people. One day I was going up and down the aisle, and this woman was holding one of the magazines, like soap magazines, and I looked and she was looking at a picture of me, and she was looking at me. She was looking at the picture. She was looking at me. She was going back, but she didn't say anything. And I thought, well, I can't. I feel stupid. I don't, want to say anything. So finally, I said to her, "Oh, I hadn't seen that. Can I see it?" And she went, "Oh my God, is that you?" And I went, "Yeah." I've had great stories because the show's all over the world. So
Right.
I mean, what someone said to me from Turkey said, "Oh my God, you're my mother." And I said, "Okay." I forget a lot of things, but I think I would remember I would remember that. And he said, No. My mother does your voice in Turkey.
Oh my God.
And so,
That's great.
and then the other people, there was this group and we were going to Las Vegas and back, and it was really, really turbulent, from LA to Vegas. And so the captain wouldn't let us get up. We were sat in our seats the whole time. And so at the end of the flight, this guy goes up to me and he goes, "Esther, bad," because he didn't get anything to drink, so he was, just great stories. And you know what, Pete, you can't forget who you are. You can't forget who you are when one day I get to talk to you like this. Another day I'm at Y&R. The day after I'm serving coffee at 35,000 feet. You don't forget, you can't forget who you are that way,
Well, thanks for not forgetting who you are. Thanks for all you do. I mean, we didn't even get through your whole list of charities because there are so many of them. And everybody should definitely go check out Kate's work at katelinder.com. Follow her on social media. Instagram's where I recommend. It's all Kate Linder YR on Instagram. And if you're not sure, if you're not watching, you're listening on the podcast side, just look in the show notes and I'll get you connected to that. Anything else you want to say in closing it all, Kate? I really appreciate you coming on.
If you go on the website, there's a place to click on for the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's all right there. So you just can click on it.
Super easy. Yeah.
Super easy. Has to be easy.
Are we going to get you into another race car again soon? I want to.
Oh my gosh, that was so. That was another thing. Toyota Grand Prix. I mean, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I lived through it. Because it was the anniversary of, it was the 20th anniversary. And so they were having people that had won the race before, and then a few of us that had never done it. And then I think I was the first daytime person and then female too, to do this. And my claim to fame is that, my car, I'll never forget, it was number 7. It was red and it didn't have a scratch on it. And I lived. That's a good thing. But it was for charity. You know what? It was for charity and Long Beach. And I'll never forget that either.
I hope we get that back. I hope we find a good sponsor and bring that back, because it is a lot of fun to see you all running around, and we'll work on it. Maybe we can get an ALS sponsor and a good car sponsor, because it's a neat thing to be able to do.
Yeah, Pete. I know you can do anything. You're amazing.
I'm trying. I'm going to keep after it. I'm not going to quit. That's for sure. All right, I'm going to press a couple buttons here. Stand by for 1 second, and we'll wrap this thing up.